welcome to Movement Not Miracles. I am Anna from Eat Move Be Happy, and Martha has joined me already this morning. So I was getting everything set up and she woke up and decided now is the time to come and say hello. So she's probably going to help today. We'll see how she goes. So hopefully you had a nice weekend. The weather was a little bit nicer this weekend. The spring is definitely on its way. It's a bit blowy out there today. Definitely no cobwebs after my little meander out this morning. So today is going to be a little bit all over movement and stretch. So starting at the top and working our way down just to get everything ready for the week. I know it's Tuesday, but you know what I mean. So we're going to start, you can do these seated or standing. I'm going to stand just because I've been sitting for some of the morning. So we're just going to start with our shoulders to start off with. And if you sit or stand with your weight evenly spread between your left and your right side so that you are balanced, standing nice and tall or sitting nice and tall, so we're not slumped down like this with your belly sticking out and everything sort of sagging down, so our shoulders are back and down and we're standing nice and tall. And to start off with, we're just going to shrug our shoulders. So shrug your shoulders up towards your ears as high as you can go and then just let them flop down. So let gravity pull them back down. So we can carry a lot of tension in our upper shoulders, upper back, neck and into our head. So just using the muscles in the top of your shoulders to lift the shoulders up and then letting them drop down. And whilst you're doing that, just pay attention to what's happening with your mouth. Is your jaw clenched and tight? Are you clenching your teeth? Is your tongue in the roof of your mouth, or is your tongue resting in the base of your mouth? So if you're clenching through your jaw and your tongue is resting in the roof of your mouth, that's a sign that you are carrying some tension through your neck. So your tongue is a muscle as well, and for it to be relaxed, it should relax in the base of your mouth when you're not talking, of course. Don't you do that to my mat, you monkey. That's why I don't leave my mats out, because they use them as scratching posts. Right, let's do a couple more of these. Shrug and let them drop. And then we're just going to take that into a shoulder roll. So shrugging your shoulders right up and then squeezing your shoulder blades together, rolling back and down. Ooh, there's a bit of a clunk in my shoulder then. So thinking of, I'll show you from behind and then you can see, hopefully, the writing on my t-shirt changing. So really squeezing your shoulder blades back together, up and back and down. And as you squeeze your shoulder blades, you should feel a nice stretch across your chest, which is what we're after to try and counteract that sort of round-shouldered shortening in your chest that we tend to have when we're sitting like this at the computer, whereas if we're back and down, that's a much better position for our upper back. Then continuing with the shoulder rolls, but now introducing the arms. So just work through the arms, aiming for a bigger move, and then a nice straight arm, arms back behind the ears if you can. Those of you that know me will know that my shoulder flexibility is not brilliant, so if I show you from the side, that's about as far as I get without actually doing some serious stretching and work to get a little bit more movement. And whilst you're doing that, we don't want your bum to stick out and this to be happening. So we don't, it's not exactly wrong, but we're working on our upper body, and if you're rocking through your pelvis, then you're extending through your lower back, which if you've got a bit of a temperamental lower back is not good for you. So keeping your pelvis tucked under, hips pushed forward, and working through the muscles in your belly, so they should be contracting, and the muscles in your bum to keep all of this stable. So when we move, roll our shoulder blades, we're actually working through our upper back and our shoulders rather than the whole of our back, which which is what we're aiming for. Okay, so now we're going to take these into a twist. So again, sitting or standing nice and tall. If you're sitting in a chair, make sure you're sitting away from the backrest, sitting up out of your pelvis, not round shouldered. If you're doing twists or any movement through your spine, having your spine in an upright position is what you want to get the movement. I'm just going to let Martha out. I think that means she needs some lunch. There we go. If you start to move and your spine is already scrunched round, you're not going to get the movement that you need, but also it's not good for you to move out of position. So standing or sitting nice and tall. And if you want to, fold your arms. And we're just going for movement to start off with. So twisting from one side to the other, aiming for as big of a twist through the spine as you can get. So you're going to be using the muscles in your belly to do that. This is going to be where the movement comes from. So moving round, not really looking for movement through the hips. So again, trying to stabilise the lower half of your body, but bring that shoulder as far round as you can to get some twist through that upper back. And then for the last couple, Arthur's going to ask to go out now. Both of them. Excuse me one moment. Don't mind me. Off you go. Hopefully there won't be any more interruptions. So for the last couple of twists, we're just going to twist and hold for a couple of breaths. Can you twist a little bit further round and then back to the centre. Same on the other side. Keep breathing whilst you hold the twist. Each time you breathe out, can you twist a little bit further round, and we'll do one more on each side. Last one. And keep breathing, stay relaxed through your jaw. Okay. Feels a bit better in my upper back. Side bends now. So for me, a little bit of a wider stance. Again, you can do these seated. If you are standing, you're standing nice and tall, aiming for, or seated or standing, a reach down one side and then a reach down the other side. So we're staying in that same plane. So we're not leaning forwards to reach. We're staying in that sideways movement, reaching as far as we can down that side on either side. Now it takes a little bit for my back to warm up, so I'm not going to get much movement to start off with. So again, doing movement little and often is a good idea, and it doesn't matter how little of a time you spend on it. Doing something is better than nothing. So if you did some side bends, for example, whilst you're waiting for the kettle to boil, that's better than not doing them at all. But as you can see with me, the more you do, I've got a little bit more movement down that leg now. So my spine is realising that, oh, this is what we're doing. So after you do a few, you get a bit more movement, and that's good. And if you don't move, then we stiffen up, which tends to mean we get some aches and pains, and so we think, oh, I'm not going to move because that hurts, and so the cycle continues. So if you're feeling stiff, moving is a good idea, and it might be counterintuitive. Right, same sort of thing now, but now we're going to introduce the overhead stretch as well. So a nice big stretch up to get a stretch through your side first, and then reaching over with that arm as you reach down with the other one, and just hold that at the point, the furthest point that you can go. A couple of breaths and then return, and the same on the other side. So start off with a nice big stretch up and then reaching over. I'm actually working through my legs, the muscles in my legs as well, to stabilise my body, but also I'm pushing my muscles backwards to get a little bit more stretch out of the side. So with most of these moves, if you just went through the movement without really thinking about what's going on, you're probably not going to get the most out of the movement. So I could just sort of reach over like this, and okay, I'm getting some movement, but I'm not getting the full range of movement. So a little bit more work and you get a bit more stretch and a bit more mobility, which is what we're after. I think I'm a bit stiffer on this side, aren't I? Oh, excuse me, my tummy just grumbled then. It's definitely lunchtime. Okay, hips. So to start off with, again, you can do this one seated or standing. If we are sitting, imagine I'm sitting in a chair. So mostly we sit in this sort of position, obviously with my feet on the floor. So you've got right angles between your knees, right angles between your hips, and your hips don't tend to move out of this plane. Whereas our hips are actually ball and socket joints, and they should move in a full range of movement. So just encouraging our hip to move out of that standard sitting type posture is a good idea. So you can do this by, if you're sitting, hug your knee up towards your chest, or if you're standing like me. So this is going to test your balance a little bit, she says as she wobbles over. So be next to a wall if you need to. Nice and soft through that supporting leg. Just getting my balance with this. And standing nice and tall, think of squeezing your shoulder blades together so your shoulders are back and down, and lifting that knee up towards your chest rather than taking your chest down towards your knee. So I'm working through this supporting leg as well, and I'll show you on the other side. You can do this lying on the floor too. I've got a bruise on that shin. I'm not going to be able to hug that knee like that. I'll have to do it underneath. A bit of a cycling situation. I had a fight with a pedal. So lifting your knee up towards your chest, and I'm definitely wobblier doing it like this. So I'll just show you this one on the floor, just in case you have got the capacity to get on the floor, because I think you can get a little bit more stretch. So you can actually really pull that knee in towards your chest, so you're getting more range of movement through that hip. And if you can pull your knee out towards the side a little bit, then you get a little bit more. Working to keep that leg down, so lifting your leg back towards your towards your chest, and then out towards the side, taking your knee towards your armpit. And as I said, you can do those seated as well. Now a bit of a stretch through the front of your hip. You can't do this one from seated, but you can do the next one that I'll show you in a second. So you could repeat the leg lift. So we're just going to do the gentler version of this hip flexor move. I'll do it this way so you can see. So kneeling on one knee, and we're working to get that hip pushed forwards. So we don't want our bum sticking out like that. Working through that butt to push that hip forwards, and keeping your shoulders back and down. Nice stretch across the front of your chest, and then think of pushing the whole of your body forwards. So to increase the stretch, think of pushing that hip. So you're working quite hard through your bum. This knee stays out, don't let that knee cave in. And just breathe. What's happening with your jaw? Is your jaw nice and relaxed, or have you tensed your teeth, gripped your jaw back up? So paying attention to that. Okay, and then we'll swap sides. I'll turn around so you can see it better this side. So kneeling on one knee, this knee stays out, this bum pushes forward. So your hips are level but pushing forwards. We don't want to bend through our body. The hip flexor muscles here These are the muscles that lift your knee up towards your belly. And when we're seated in this position, they're really short. And they're short all of the time if you think about it, how much time we spend sitting. So we're trying to stretch these a little bit, which will allow your hips to move more. So think of bum forwards, straighten through your hip flexor there, keeping your body upright, and then just lean everything forwards, pushing that hip forwards as well. And I now stretch through. This is the gentlest version of this stretch, but for me this morning that's fine. Right, now you can do this one if you're seated in a chair. So we're going to do this one sitting on the floor. So you can lift, if you're sitting in a chair, Kat's trying to get back in now, sitting nice and tall, resting one ankle onto your thigh and just gently encouraging that knee to go down towards the outside. If you're sitting on the floor, sitting on the bones of your bottom, cross one leg, one foot over to rest on the floor by the knee of the straight leg, hug that knee in to your chest, sitting nice and tall and twisting through the gap. So you're trying to bring your chest through the gap here, and you should feel a nice stretch in the outside of your hip and your butt there. Keep breathing. So you can do this sort of a stretch if you are sitting in your chair. So the most important thing is sit nice and tall. So change your position so that you are sitting up out of your pelvis on the bones of your bottom, and your back, shoulders are back and down, so your posture is good. And then you rest one leg onto your thigh, sitting nice and tall, and encourage that knee to go down towards the floor. So you can change, you can work on, just swapping to the other side whilst I'm talking to you. So foot flat on the floor, hug that knee into the chest and twisting round. I know this is a slightly different stretch, but you can do the other version whilst you're sitting at your desk in between some of the meetings that you have, just to encourage a bit more movement through the hips and a bit more stretch through the muscles in your butt. Okay, so hopefully everything feels a little bit more mobile, a little bit stretched off. Hopefully the tension in your jaw, you've paid attention to it. If you do find that you are tense through your neck, then working on relaxing the shoulder shrug is quite a nice way of just letting those muscles work and relax. But do pay attention to that and try and take some time to relax through your jaw and your tongue. So enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. I will be back tomorrow with another Movement Not Miracles. Don't forget to check out the website www.eatmovebehappy.com. Lots more ideas of how to look after your health and well-being. We have online coaching programs to help you with your eating and your exercise habits. And there's lots of other ideas on there. And please don't forget to share Movement Not Miracles if you love it. Doing something is better than nothing, and if we can help more people just be a little bit more mobile and a little less stiff, then not only will we feel better physically, but we'll feel better psychologically as well. Enjoy this. Well, I think it's reasonably nice weather. I don't think there's some rain coming, so if you can, get out and about in fresh air, and don't forget to look after yourselves. Have fun, and we'll see you tomorrow.